Hi, I'm Chef Say, and the holidays are upon us. It's so easy to overindulge. I know I'm guilty of that. But there are some things that you can do to lighten up your recipes. I'm going to take you shopping at Whole Foods Market so I can give you some tips and suggestions for lightening those recipes at home. So let's get started. Most holiday recipes use a lot of sugar, way too much in my opinion. So a lot of times you can cut down by even half of the sugar in things like cookies and pies. Cakes are a little iffy because that's scientific, but you can usually cut the sugar by half. All I do is simply taste the batter before I cook it, and if it tastes good, then I'm good to go. A lot of recipes are calling for high-fat dairy products. Now in some cases, when you're using cream cheese, you can use a lower fat cream cheese, and that's really going to cut down on the number of calories in your recipe. And in some cases, you can also replace heavy whipping cream or half and half with lower fat milk, like I did in the bread pudding recipe below. Now, there is no true substitute for whipped cream, but please don't buy the stuff in the tub that's frozen. It just doesn't taste good, and it's not as good as the real thing. In most recipes, butter and oil are necessary in order to build the cake or the pie or whatever you're making. But in some cases, oil and butter can actually be replaced by applesauce. Think about zucchini bread or muffins. You can usually replace applesauce for the amount of butter or oil in the recipe. Hey, how are you doing? Perfect, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Now that we've done our shopping, it's time to prepare our recipe. And this recipe was submitted by Angie K in Oregon. Every year, she and her family go salmon fishing, and so for the holidays, her mom makes a sauteed salmon in a lemon cream sauce, which just sounds fabulous. But to change this recipe, the first thing I did was skip the cream sauce. And I think when you make this recipe, you won't miss it. We're gonna completely change up this recipe. So we're gonna start with our salmon, which I actually asked our fishmonger to skin for me. And to this, I'm just gonna sprinkle with a little bit of salt. There we go. And then we're just gonna season with a little bit of pepper. So I'm gonna do this on both sides and let this sit for a while we prepare the vegetables. Now, we are gonna cook this in a rather unusual way, but it's pretty fun. We're going to use parchment paper. So we're cooking en papillote, which is a French term for wrapped in paper. So I'll show you how that works after we get our vegetables done. For the vegetables, we're actually going to create a vegetable tagliatelle. So I'm going to take some peeled carrots, and using my peeler, I'm just going to create little long ribbons like this. So these are going to create our vegetables, and we're just going to use our peeler to slide these off, then turn your carrot. Do another slice, turn your carrot. So this is a fairly easy thing to do. We're also going to do this with our zucchini, and you can see how they're making really nice ribbons in our bowl. Now that we have our vegetables all ready to go, I want to season these. So to this, I'm going to add a little bit of chopped cilantro, and you can be creative about whatever type of herbs you use or vegetables. You can even change the fish. That was a little bit of thyme. Then I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice, so just cut that in half and squeeze that on. It'll give it a nice little zing of flavor. There we go. And then finally, we're in a small mixing bowl. We're going to mix together some grated ginger. So I peeled my ginger. I'm just going to use a microplane grater and grate that. And to this, I'm going to mix in a little bit of olive oil. And then we're going to pour that on top, just like that. And then I'm just going to dig right in with my hands and toss this together. Now we can let this sit while we prepare the parchment part. And that's where the fun starts. To create our papillote, or our little paper pouch, we're going to use plain baking paper, not waxed paper. We're going to cut off a big slice here. And I'm going to fold that in half, just like this. And then using your artistic skills, you're going to cut this in the shape of half a heart. There we go. That's ready to be stuffed. We're gonna lay our parchment down on the cutting board. We're gonna take a nice handful of our tagliatelle and just put that on the middle like that. And then take a nice piece of salmon and lay that directly on top. There we go, doesn't that look beautiful? And then to close it, we're just gonna use a little beaten egg white and brush that around the edge. And what that's gonna do is help keep the steam and all those fabulous flavors in while it's baking. And now we're ready to wrap it up. So I'm just gonna close it over. And now here's a special folding technique. This is a little bit different than how I described it in the recipe below, but just watch how this comes together. It's a really pretty presentation. So you start up here at the end of the heart and you fold the paper over twice, just like that. And then you move down and fold it over again, and going all the way down to the bottom. My origami skills are a little lacking here. And then once you get to the bottom, kind of twist it around like that. Tuck it under, and your fish is ready for the oven. Our salmon just came out of the oven. It looks fantastic. It smells wonderful. So to plate these, you're gonna be very careful. Lift one up directly over to the plate, and then you're gonna serve it to your guests like this. It's a little surprise for them to open at the table. And to open, you're just gonna pinch the middle, kind of tear it in half, open it up like that, and let all those wonderful flavors and aromas come pouring out. Oh, it smells so fantastic. And then they can just dig in and take a bite. Oh, the salmon is perfectly cooked. Let's take a bite. You won't ever miss the cream sauce. This is absolutely fantastic. Happy holidays and happy eating.